years, one name has echoed through history, a name that just screams mystery and a lost golden age: Atlantis. But what if it wasn't just a myth? Today, we're going to do something a little different. We're opening up an ancient cold case, treating the legend of Atlantis not as fantasy, but as a real investigation into a civilization that may have actually vanished. And the central question, the real mystery that hooks you, is this: is it even possible for a powerful, advanced society to be here one day and just gone the next, wiped completely off the map? I mean, that's the core of the Atlantis legend, and it's the question we are going to dig into right now. You know, every investigation has to start somewhere. It starts with that first report, the initial piece of evidence. And for Atlantis, our entire case file begins with one single, incredibly important source: the writings of the ancient Greek philosopher Plato. He is our one and only eyewitness to the story. And just listen to the picture Plato paints with this quote. He's not talking about some small, primitive village. He's describing a formidable empire, a rich, technologically advanced civilization with a powerful military that dominated the whole region. This is the victim profile we're working with. And I have to stress this because it's so important. Everything, and I mean everything, we think we know about Atlantis comes from one person, Plato. He wrote about it in his famous dialogues, Timaeus and Critias. Now, this makes our investigation incredibly challenging. We have no one else to back up his story, no corroborating witnesses, just the single testimony from thousands of years ago. And this timeline, well, this shows you the biggest hurdle for any investigator on this case. Plato claimed Atlantis existed 9,000 years before his own time. Let that sink in for a second. There's a 9,000-year gap between the supposed event and the first person ever writing it down. That's like trying to solve a crime today using a single clue left over from the Stone Age. It's a huge problem. Okay, so now let's try to reconstruct the most dramatic part of the story, the moment Atlantis vanished. Because according to Plato's report, this wasn't some slow decline. No, this was a sudden, cataclysmic, world-ending event. Just one. A single day and night, that's it. Plato's account describes massive earthquakes and floods that just completely swallowed the entire civilization whole. And for centuries, the sheer speed and totality of this destruction was pretty much the main reason historians just dismissed it as fiction, a cautionary tale. But this is where the investigation takes a fascinating modern turn. We have to ask ourselves, let's put the legend aside for a second, could a real-world event actually match Plato's incredible description? Is there any kind of scientific precedent for a cataclysm so huge it could end a civilization? So we're shifting from the ancient text to the modern lab. We're going to examine the geological and archaeological, you could call it forensic, evidence to see if the world around us holds any clues that might support Plato's seemingly impossible story. And when you compare the legend to what we know about geology, it starts to get really interesting. We know for a fact that the massive volcanic eruption on the island of Thera absolutely crippled the advanced Minoan civilization. And geologists have confirmed that tectonic plates shift and sea levels rise, and yeah, they can absolutely submerge entire land masses. So, the way Plato said Atlantis was destroyed, scientifically speaking, it is entirely plausible. Okay, so the disaster itself is plausible, but what about that other part of the story that always seemed a little bit unbelievable? The idea of a highly advanced, organized society existing over 11,000 years ago, long before we thought civilization really got started. Well, this is where recent archaeology has completely rewritten our understanding of the ancient past. The discovery of Göbekli Tepe in modern-day Turkey, it's a massive, intricate temple complex built 12,000 years ago by people we thought were just hunter-gatherers. This proves that sophisticated societies existed far earlier than we ever imagined. So the idea of an advanced ancient society is no longer a fantasy. Okay, so with a plausible method of destruction and a more plausible victim, the investigation now needs a location. Let's look at the active search for Atlantis. Where have researchers and explorers actually been looking for the physical remains of this lost civilization? And the list of suspects is long. Some believe the Minoan civilization was the real inspiration, which puts the location in the Mediterranean. Others take Plato literally and search the Atlantic Ocean, beyond what he called the Pillars of Hercules, what we now call the Strait of Gibraltar. People have put forth theories placing it everywhere from the Caribbean to Antarctica, but these are some of the most prominent candidates. And this is the frustrating reality of the case. Despite countless expeditions, sonar scans, and some really intriguing discoveries underwater, no one has ever found a definitive smoking gun. There is no confirmed location for Atlantis. The physical trail has gone completely cold. So, where does that leave us? We have a really compelling story, we have plausible ways it could have happened, but we don't have a body. It's time to weigh the evidence and consider what this legend truly represents as we try to reach a verdict in this ancient, cold case. So let's break it down. On one side, we know cataclysms like this can happen, and we know advanced ancient societies were real. On the other side, we have that one single source, the huge 9,000-year time gap, and a complete lack of physical evidence. Science hasn't proven the story is true, but, and this is important, it also hasn't proven it's false. The case remains open. And this brings us to a really key idea. We now understand that many ancient myths, like the story of a great flood, which you find in cultures all over the world, are often culturally preserved memories of real events, just distorted over thousands and thousands of years. The details get blurred, but a core truth can remain. So, what's the takeaway from all this? The real value of the Atlantis story isn't just about finding a sunken city. It could be a moral fable from Plato, a warning about pride, or it could be something more. A fragmented memory of a real civilization lost to time, a chapter of our own story that's been torn out of the history books. And that leaves us with one final provocative thought to mull over. What if we've been looking at this all wrong? What if we should stop searching for a lost city and start listening for the echo of a lost memory, preserved for thousands of years in the incredible story of Atlantis?